Sunday, whatever day it is. I'm your host, Robert Alexander. Alongside me is Lucas Biggers. We have James tonight from our team, and we have Malachi from Danger Zone Boxing with us tonight. As you can see, he's in that bright yellow t-shirt. All right, guys. So let's start off. We got a lot to talk about, I know, with this fight tonight. But I do want to get your thoughts right now on the kid that I told you about last Tuesday, Berlanga. This is now 15-0, Lucas. 15 KOs in the first round. What's your thoughts on this kid?
I mean, against a guy that hasn't been stopped, too. I mean, he's impressive. And I got to say, it's not him trying to be heavy-handed. He's just naturally heavy-handed. He's not putting emphasis on some of these punches. They're just that big, you know. So he's dangerous, man. I like what I see from him, and they are very smart on putting him the undercard of this, Lomachenko-Lopez, because it's drawn, I'm sure, a massive amount of viewers. So he, in turn, is going to get a massive amount of viewers and, you know, maybe a little Mike Tyson in the making.
Okay. Malachi, look, do you agree with the stoppage, Malachi? Because, you know.
I thought it was a little early. I thought it came a little early. I think, though, the refs seen the inevitable. This guy's not going to be able to stay in there. But I thought the stoppage was a little early. But we saw some strange refereeing tonight. You know what I mean? We'll get into something, you know, happened later on in the fight or on the card with another referee, I'm sure. But the refereeing was a little spotty tonight. But the kid's the real deal. I still want to see him against some better competition. I know the guy that he beat hasn't been stopped, but he had already took 5 L's and 3 draws. So it wasn't exactly top-notch competition. Nothing against.
Agree, yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to see
but
more.
But a step in the right direction.
Exactly, agree, 100%. And he does look the part. So I agree with Rob. I really like his future. But we need to. I see some people talking about he's ready for Canelo. Y'all need to slow down with all that talk. So, but I do like his future.
Got to build up to that. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna echo that statement. I don't think he's ready for that yet. I think some of our fans are already kind of chomping at the bit. I think they just want us to get to Loma. So let's.
Hold on. I mean, real quick. I mean, we got to give everybody a fair chance. Look. The only thing I want to put an emphasis on Berlanga is, to me right now, I don't know what weight he was tonight. I feel like he could be a potential weight bully. He weighed 169 and a half coming into the fight. He's at 168, and they negotiated it up to 169, and he came in half a pound heavy. He had to drop his drawers, so to speak, to get rid of that half a pound, and he did. But I don't know. The power that he has there, he looks like a light heavy at 168 to me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we're going to just jump into it, man. I think we got to.
Let's go ahead.
Let's see. Okay, so we got Rudy. What's up, Rudy? Saying great fight. Indeed it was. I think it delivered. Brett Reed, he outboxed him for 7. Loma slow to gauge him. I mean, yeah, pretty much hits the nail on the head. CJ Hooker says 115, 113 was the scorecard. That's exactly what I had as well. You can actually see my scorecard. We posted that on all our social media. Brett Lee Berlanger versus Beterbiev would be interesting. He's got to go to 175 for that one, and Arthur beats him. Yeah, I don't know about stepping up for that just yet, but all right, guys. I'm actually going to give it up to Jules from Tuesday because I think Jules kind of gauged it almost spot on. You know, he wanted to call it a draw, and I forced him to kind of, you know, pick somebody, and he leaned towards Lopez, and that's exactly kind of what happened. As he said, the feet didn't seem to be there compared to, you know, what he has been in the past. Maybe he is starting to slow down. You know, he did pick it up, like saying through 7. I think it was pretty much all Teofimo, but after 7, he did seem to pick up, but it seemed more desperation. But hell, I mean, it paid off. It won him the last few rounds, but that final round kind of sealed it. I think Teofimo stole that last round, and that's a championship round. Completely walked away unscathed. So, great fight, but the better person won. I don't know about the 117, 111 scorecard. I think that's a bit wide for me. 115, 113, I agree, is where it's at. That's the sweet spot.
So let's go into that then, Lucas. So you scored it 115, 113, Lopez.
Indeed.
Malachi, what did you score?
116, 114. I thought that early on that Teofimo dominated the fight because Loma did very little. But there was a reason that Lomachenko did very little in the early rounds. He was hoping that Teofimo would wear down in the later rounds, but it was also because Teofimo's athletic enough to take away his side movement when he gets to your side, and he's a hard enough puncher that you just can't until you get that timing down. Do that movement where Loma likes to go in and out. Loma was very calculated in this fight, and I think that shows you exactly where he rates Teofimo's punching power, because he wanted to have his timing down 100% because he was worried about what was coming at him. And I think their game plan was, we're going to get him in the later rounds when that sting and that power dissipates a little because of fatigue, but they weren't able to execute it in enough rounds to win the fight for me. I thought Teofimo did exactly what I thought he was going to do. I thought he might get the knockout, but he showed everybody that doubted him as a boxer exactly the level he is as an actual boxer, because he came into the fight with a lot of people saying he only had a puncher's chance, he's a slugger, Loma's going to give him a master class. Well, none of that happened. Teofimo proved he could box, that he has a high ring IQ, and he proved he's a real champion in that 12th round because he went out there and took it, in my opinion.
So as you can hear, Malachi's a little amped up right now. His boy won. James, what did you score?
115, 113 for Lopez. I just saw Lomachenko give up too much too early. I gave him the second round, and after all that, it's a landslide for Lopez. Just not enough activity on Lomachenko's part. That ditch that he dug for himself was a little bit too much to overcome in the end. He turned on the heat late in the fight, did well, scored well, but just not enough. Not enough time, not enough rounds for him to catch up. Again, he just dug himself a ditch, and it's just too much to overcome. It's a shame because he's a great fighter, and when he really wanted to take it at Lopez, he did. He was really, really successful, landed a lot of good punches to the head and to the body. But, the 12th round, the way it went, the way it played out, yeah, all the credit goes out to Lopez. He was fantastic tonight. Great boxer, great fighter, good conditioning, good ring generalship. He was good. He was all around good, and he deserves those belts. So hats off to Lopez.
I cannot say enough for that 12th round, because in the 11th round, Lopez looked gassed. And I tweeted that out. He looked done. He was getting beat up, and, you can see him, breathing really hard like he had to breathe through a straw. And that 12th round, he come out, sucked that shit up, and man, did he steal that last round. And without that last round, we all know I think that's a draw. So at least that's what I would have had it as. Now, doesn't sound like some of the other scorecards would have had it. Rob, I know you already said that you wouldn't like, I wouldn't like your scorecard, so you better tell me what it is.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you would or not, but look, I gave the first 7 to Tio. I gave first 7 to Tio. I gave round 8, 9, 10, and 11 to Momo, and then I gave Tio the 12th. So I had it 8 rounds to 4 for Tio.
All right, let's see here. I'll just cut you off, sorry. Brett Reed says, Tio was gassed very late rounds. It's only his second fight past the early rounds. McQueen, I'm going to probably butcher that. I'm sorry. You think they'll have a rematch? I think it's warranted. I think that's also going to be based on those ESPN viewership numbers that come in later. But depending on, the outcome, which I think is going to be pretty good. I mean, I think the numbers were high tonight. This is a fight that, the public has been clamoring for, and they're getting it for free. So I really hope that they tuned in. And I think this will warrant a rematch. It was a close enough fight that would warrant a rematch, at least, on some scorecards. Brett Reed, Loma said after Lopez, he's going back to 130.
That's exactly
when
what
he
I was
said,
gonna
I
tell
assume
y'all.
he thought he wins. Will he want to take a rematch? I don't know. There was a rematch clause. Clarence told y'all again, Team Lopez. And Mr. Quiddish, Toe was good tonight. He boxed well and won the fight pretty simple. Yeah.
So look, that's exactly what I was going to answer that question with. No, there's not going to be a rematch. There's not going to be a rematch. Lomo is going. Lomo is hiding his ass back to 130.
Hold on now, you acted like it was a blowout or something, man. It was a close fight.
To me, it was a blowout. It was an absolute blowout. To me, it was an absolute. Look, can I go in? Is it my turn? Is it my turn?
8-4. 8-4 doesn't sound like a blowout.
No, I mean
that's a damn blowout because you gave up the first 7 rounds.
Look, I've always compared you to my Stephen A, and you're being really Stephen A right now, okay? Look,
Man,
that is not a blowout fight.
Man, that is a blowout for a unified title fight. That's a fucking blowout.
You know what it is a tactical error on Lomachenko's part.
No, there's no tactical errors. I'm not giving him no excuse tonight. I'm not giving him no.
It's the truth. Basically, what he needed to do was step up in those early rounds and even up the fight.
You're the damn champion. If you're not going to step up in those earlier rounds, knock the guy out. Take a chance and knock the guy out. Now I'm about to go in now.
That's exactly what I said. It's a tactical error.
Clarence says,
I agree, but there's a reason that he didn't because he had to get that timing down to get inside. Because when Lopez was able to keep him at the end of his punches, he dominated the fight when he was able to keep him at that range where Loma couldn't get his offense off. Timothy Bradley talked about it a lot tonight, particularly early on. But there's a reason. Loma was worried about that power. He was worried about that power, not having the right timing and getting knocked out. But I think they just waited too long for him to start taking risks. So I agree too.
That's exactly my
point. So what's your excuse for him, Lucas? Because James gave me an excuse. Malachi gave me an excuse.
I mean, no, it's not an excuse. I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with all of you in a way because honestly, the way I saw it, yeah, he did take too long to step it up. He was too cautious. He didn't want to reach in. So it is definitely a tactical error. However, that being said, I think I, as well as a lot of other boxing critics, did underplay Teofimo's boxing ability. I think he had problems moving to his right, and that was because of Teofimo's footwork and ring generalship as well. Not saying that he has better feet, but he was at least able to keep up with Lomachenko's feet, and I don't think a lot of people, anybody probably on this cast or anybody on the show on Tuesday would have expected him to be able to keep up at such a high level of footwork.
He kept up because he was allowed to keep up. If you're only going to throw 5 damn punches in a round, you're giving them that fight. You're giving them that round. You're giving them that round.
You can see though once he said and he threw.
Fight a southpaw all night, Rob. You got to look at the technical part too. Teofimo, when I said it come in, people were they were underestimating his boxing ability. He was able to keep his foot for the most part, particularly early on in that fight, in the right spot that you wanted when you're fighting a southpaw, and that affected the fight. He was able to keep Lomachenko, who took too long to get down Teofimo's timing. Maybe it's some of his tells, the way he dropped his hands, before he was willing to risk lunging in there to the range where he could get his offense, bro.
Okay,
so you know what?
OPC Music says Loma just started too late. Round 6, Lopez 7-5. Deciding factor, Lopez won rounds 10 and 12. Brett Reed says, I thought it'd be inside style clinching fight from the start, and that Lopez, somebody commented and I lost it. Lopez would weight bully him. I was shocked at how technical Lopez won in and outboxing him, but Teofimo endurance allowed Loma to climb back. Not enough, though. Too late, Matrix. Chris says Loma waited too long, thinking Loma would gas. Pedraza and Lores should have at least countered. Maybe those 2 early body shots Teo gave him paid off. Maybe those earned the respect from Loma early. Upset City. I thought Loma was going to win. Props to Teo. I mean, I picked Loma too. I picked Loma too. I mean, I think I've been brutally honest. I admit I underestimated Teofimo somewhat, but we did see when Loma turned it on and just put his cards out there, Lopez was in trouble, guys, on more than one occasion, right? I mean, he was hurt, and Loma couldn't put him out. I think he does not have it at this weight as far as power goes, and it's smart to move back down. Would you guys agree?
I agree 100%.
I'd love to see.
What'd you say, Malachi?
I said I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
130 is definitely his best weight class.
It's a sweet
He could go down there and take all the belts, and I don't see anybody in that weight class beating him for a very long time. I always felt 135 and beyond was just too much for him because he doesn't have a big frame. He's a little guy. He's just stupid athletic, and his daddy put him in dance class, gave him unbelievable footwork, and he's able to do some things that we haven't seen and that mesmerize people. But what I said going in, this kid is not scared of him. He's not going to be mesmerized by his footwork. He's going in there truly believing, unlike most of Lomachenko's opponents. He went in there truly believing, I can beat this guy. And he did. As for Teofimo, Junior's been on with us twice. Both times, Junior's confirmed. They're going straight to 140, and they're looking to get the winner of Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor.
Oh, wow.
They unify.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good announcement. Fans, forgive me. Please forgive me right now. But I have to say this. I have to. And I'm gonna use a football reference. Lomo, you were who I thought you were, and I let your ass off the hook.
Oh man.
I believed in the hype. And what it is, you're a crock of shit. Just like I told you were. Just like I told everybody. When you put the pressure on his ass, Salido all over again, like I told you. Salido all over again. When you put the pressure on his ass, he's done.
Look,
Teofimo was way more technical, bro.
Look, Stephen A.
Give Teofimo is technical. Technically, it was a completely different fight than the Salido fight. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. Kind of try to go with it, but it was technically completely different. By the way, I'm undefeated. I just want to make sure you know I am undefeated on the pick'ems on here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are. I'll give you that. But let me tell you like this here, period. Lucas made the point of the night. The point of the night is you're number one pound for pound. When you put the pressure on T.O.'s ass, he was done for. Period. T.O. should have been out of there. If you are truly the number one pound for pound fighter in the sport, you bite down, just like they said, you bite down in that damn mouthpiece and you do what needs to be done. And he couldn't get it done. End of story. And then all these pleas for him to go back to 130 is the point that I've always made. You aren't a pound for pound fighter if you can't get it done at the higher weight.
Look. I'm going to come back to it. I don't think he has to go back down to 130. In fact, I think I might even favor him in a rematch.
All right. So you think that in the rematch, I'm glad you brought that up, because if we do get a rematch, do you see him turning it on earlier in that fight? Because I think that if he don't get the timing down right, and he turns it on earlier in the fight when Teofimo has real knockout power. And we've seen Teofimo moving him late in the fight. So when if he turns it up and gets to go moving in and out like that early on in the fight and his timing ain't right, I see Teofimo knocking him out because I think Teofimo will go into the rematch with even more confidence because of the way he won the fight.
I don't know.
I outboxed him.
He outboxed him, but he also got hurt late in the rounds, so it's kind of a trade-off, I think. I mean, you got to think, unless T.O. comes with something new, some new angles to his game, I think it's just, like we said, round 13. I mean, the Matrix is already downloaded for him, especially if it's a quick rematch. I think it would definitely benefit Lomachenko.
Look, if Lomachenko turns on the heat a little earlier, it's a different outcome. Period.
And Rob, you still thinking he should go back to 130, and you think he's just this chump. I know you constantly throw the Salido back in our face, but
Lomachenko,
yeah,
he's done.
He's done because he lost a fight. Look, this is not the Mayweather stuff. Not everybody goes undefeated, man.
He's done.
That's a real Stephen A. thing to say right there.
So you would have thrown out Sugar Ray Robinson after his second loss.
Different fighter.
Get out of
Different
here.
fighter.
So Ali was done.
Fighter.
Wait, Ali was done when he fought Frazier for the first time.
Different fighter.
Yeah.
Different fighter. Lomachenko's a crock of shit.
I think you're mad because you finally came over and admitted that Loma was good.
No,
and now you're like, no, I was wrong, and this dude's complete garbage.
I wanted to
dominate the great Rigondeaux. He dominated the great Rigondeaux. Yo, he dominated him.
And
you can't be full of shit when you dominate him, man.
Rigondeaux, I don't even consider him. He wasn't even a real 130 or above fighter. Never has been. So I don't count him for nothing.
They call him Lomachenko for a reason. He stopped Linares, he stopped the Axeman, he stopped Rigondeaux, and many others.
Okay, so let me tell you right now, James. Thank you for making that point. But the question Lucas is saying, he's done. You know why? Because he stopped all of them. But guess who he can't stop? He can't stop Devin Haney now. Tank will demolish the kid. Anybody up in the upper echelon.
The Tank that we saw struggle with life and death with an injured Gamboa, right? A Tank we can't ever trust to show up motivated and in shape. I'm sorry, it's the truth. That's the way it is. I like Tank Davis as a fighter. I think he's excellent. But if he shows up anywhere near like he did against Gamboa, he ain't gonna be no champion after next week. Or 2 weeks from now.
So Leo Santa Cruz, that's a different fighter. We're talking about Lomachenko. Lomachenko can't handle these guys, especially Tank. Tank bulldozes Lomo. Tank bulldozes. Look, y'all are negating the fact that
you a lot higher on Tank than I am. I'm gonna tell you that. Yeah. You're a lot higher on Tank than I am.
Hold on. Look, y'all are negating the fact that this supposedly number one pound for pound fighter just lost to a 23-year-old kid. And I'm still not that high on T.O. yet either. Sorry, James. I'm heated tonight.
No, it's all good, man, but I appreciate that. But I really got to say, man, if Lomachenko takes a different approach to this fight, I think he comes out the winner. He just waited too long, and he gave up too much too early. The outcome is probably the fact that they made a mistake in the corner. I mean, that's a training error. They needed to step it up in the third round and attack in the third round. And you got to admit, Robert, when Lomachenko attacked, he was successful. He just waited a little too long.
No, I mean, he was successful.
You can't deny it, Rob.
No,
you can't deny it.
Hold on, listen to me. No, he was successful when he attacked. He failed because he couldn't get it done. Therefore, I feel like if he does apply that amount of pressure early on in the fight, same outcome. Except this time, T.O. figures him out a lot quicker.
Man, I don't know. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's see. Anthony says the speed and power made Loma keep his hands at home When Loma tried his angles, Lopez was turning him and beating him to the spot. He shook Loma with his boxing ability, and he didn't have a plan B except for go for broke. Well, go for broke ended up working, but let's see. Clarence says a rematch would be classic 2 fight. That's pay-per-view. Let's hope not. Let's hope they just keep it on ESPN. He went on to say losing 2 fights, Rob, does not mean you are done. He has not lost a fight since 2014. Loma will be back.
Who has he fought?
We already talked about it.
Just asking Nicholas Walters. He fought Rigon Diao. He fought Jorge Leonarez. What do you mean?
So here's why I asked that. I'm glad y'all say that. I'm glad y'all said it. Here's why I asked that. Floyd jumped the weights and won all the fights at 140, 147, 154. That's what level y'all put Lomachenko on.
But his body, his frame, it makes it possible. You want these guys to go so far up in weight where they're fighting cruiserweights. All right, he starts at 125. Oh, y'all, you got to keep going. You got to keep going up the weight to get robbed. You got to keep going.
Look at what T.O. did.
Malachi, I've been fighting your battle. I've been fighting your battle since the dawn of time with this guy. But look, I mean, these guys are not action figures. You can't make everybody just go up and weight. Not everybody's a Mayweather or a Pacquiao. You have limits on your body frame, man.
The special fighters are. Everybody crowned his ass. They crowned him. And he ain't the one. Period. Now I'm gonna say this too. Look at what Tio said after the fight tonight. I'll take on Edgar Berlanga. He said he don't care. His dad said, I'm gonna tell you, Tio, my son. His dad said my son can whoop anybody from all the way up to 154.
Yeah, but if you looked at his frame, he could make 154. I'm in that chat group with them. They were at 154 like 4 weeks ago, then they were down at 147 2 weeks ago, and then they got down to make weight. So he can make it, bro. You know what I mean? He's a lot bigger guy, not just height-wise, but frame-wise than Lomachenko, man.
Yeah, but
like his frame makes it possible, is what I'm going to say.
You got to give him a year or two to make those weights. I mean, he'll make 147 eventually, and maybe even 54, but it's going to take 2 or 3 years. In the immediate, he's going to look at 140, cool. But, I have 135, he's good, he's strong, and he's the champ. Can't take that away from him. And he's really, really talented. He absorbs punches well. He's got a chin, he's got a body, he's got everything going for him. So I don't take anything away from Tio tonight. My only point is that Loma blew it. He blew it. That fight was lost in the corner.
So James, so you don't think Tio's ready for 140?
I think he'll probably make a few defenses at 135 before he moves up. And if he wants to take on Jose Carlos Ramirez or Taylor or Pro Grays or any of those guys, he's game. And he should. I think he should move up. He's got the frame for it.
Malachi?
At the if you've seen the post fight interview, that was the first thing he said, that he's looking at 140. The reason I say I think they're gonna jump right away and try to, because one of the belts he has, he can vacate and become the #1 contender for one of the other organizations at 140 once he vacates out of 135. Now the WBC franchise is made where he's supposed to be able to jump up to 140, fight for a title, win or lose, he'll still be the WBC franchise champion at 135, which will leave it. I'd like to see him fight Devin Haney, just so they'll get the argument out of the way. Is he really undisputed? Because I know I've seen a lot of boxing bloggers and podcasters tonight saying no matter what, they're not going to recognize him as the undisputed champion. And I get why, but the truth of the matter is the real WBC champion was Vasyl Lomachenko. He didn't vacate his belt to Devin Haney. He vacated his belt because it was the only way he could avoid having to fight a mandatory before he could go over and get that strap, the IBF strap that he thought he was going to get, and he didn't.
Lucas, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you feel like you usually feel like jumping weight right away is not a good move.
No, I mean, personally, I still want to see a rematch. I don't want him to see him jump up to 140. I want to see the rematch. I think they can make, a trilogy out of this, personally. I don't think it's far from done. I think, Lomachenko could even be favored, like I said, in the second and third fights, depending. I think it's going to be a close. Vegas odds will probably have it a lot closer, of course, with this fight going the way that it did. But I think Lomachenko's plan worked early, or worked later on, but it worked a little too late. As James said, it just started too late. I think this could be a completely different fight. Some tweaks that I think Lomachenko could make, and it's a completely different fight. It's just 1 or 2 rounds away. I still think the 117-111 scorecard is just completely wrong. That's just me. But yeah. I don't want to see anybody go up. I don't want to see anybody go down. I want to see everybody stay.
Yeah, and here's my take on it too, Malachi. There's not too many undisputed world champs out there at all. In fact, at 135, there never has been, right? There never has been an undisputed champ at 135. Keep those straps.
I'd love to see somebody defend. Why grab them all, right, and then run? Exactly. No, I don't want to see that. Not run, but you know what I'm saying. Don't move on yet. Stand and defend those. It seems like, TC won them. When Bud won them, I'm moving up. I want to see when you're undisputed, just stay there.
Exactly.
Stay there. If there's more fights. Now, if there's not other big names to be had, that's one thing. But I think he's got more than enough names to sit here and build a career out of.
Well, you can't just sit there and disrespect Devin Haney talking about he's the email champ and not let him defend that. So if you're gonna sit there and call a man out like that, give him the fight.
All right, let's see.
Defend the titles.
Anthony, if he had attacked Lopez early, he would have gotten knocked out. He wasn't just waiting. Loma was getting beat to the punch for the first time in his career and couldn't answer. Lopez was still strong early in the fight. I completely agree. I basically am saying his plan and what it seemed like he was telling everybody was basically he's going to drown him late. And I think that was starting to work. Like I said, it just began to work a little too late. So you didn't really see Loma go to the body early on. I think he needed to, attempt that a little bit more. But I think Lopez was doing really well at keeping him at range with his jab. Yeah, I mean, it didn't land very much, but it was acting as a defense mechanism and keeping him at bay. And it kept him at bay for 6 damn rounds. So it was working really well. Milton.
One thing, though, is that Lopez, to his credit, went to the body early.
Lopez did, yes.
Yeah, he had some success there.
But he did. He stopped. He stopped about mid-round or midway through the fight.
Well, you got to mention, and I think Malachi brought this up earlier. They weren't low blows. Those blows to the body that the referee wanted to call low, especially the one he gave Lomo time for. That was right on the cups. I mean,
that looked like a knockdown to me. It looked like a knockdown.
It was going to be, right. It was going to be a knockdown. It could have been a knockout.
I don't know. I mean, it was low. It was on the belt line, but I think it was
on the belt line. No, usually when the referee
it was a little below the belt line, but it was low, but it wasn't low. It wasn't a severe low blow. But let's read on here. Let's see. Milton says Lopez too big for Loma, 135 too much for him. I think we kind of agree on that, but I think Loma's able to fight a little bit higher due to his skill level. Loma figured him out, but he figured him out way too late. The rematch would definitely be different. Chris, that is what I've been echoing, so I kind of hope we get this just so that we can settle it because, after, a big fight, you always have questions, so I like to silence those questions. Lopez is more talented than we thought, Clarence. I agree there. So, guys, let's talk about it. Now, I think we all agreed it was somewhat close. What would you want to see Lomachenko do differently to maybe slow down Lopez even more? Because like we said, he did gas, but he actually didn't gas until later on. He was actually able to last out that and endure those championship rounds and came out ahead on the 12th. So what does Loma need to do in the rematch to be able to slow him down a little early on?
I'm thinking he's got nothing to lose. Opening round, attack early, attack the body, and go after him. And I think he could beat him to the punch. I think he just needs to get it done early.
Yeah, I mean, he did seem to kind of just be content with keeping Teofimo moving, side to side and just making him follow him, basically. But I don't think that was enough. I mean, you're going to have to at least get him to sell out on some bigger punches. That's what Floyd does so well, leaning in and being able to pull out and counter. Loma can't do that. I mean, he's just too short, and once he gets inside, he needs to hurry up and get out. So, and he didn't do it enough early on. When he did get inside, he wasn't letting his hands go.
There was something definitely missing from the Loma show early on. Early rounds were all Lopez, and that's to me that's a problem with the approach that the Lomachenko team had. I think it was just a poor setup.
Sorry.
So you just say it's a poor game plan overall?
Yeah.
Game plan worked though, to a degree. I mean, I think Tio's just that good.
Oh, he was.
Y'all are letting him off the hook, man. Y'all are letting him off the hook. If you got that many amateur bouts and you're where you're at in the career of Lomachenko, you can almost take over the corner if you wanted to. You can use your own game plan. You can do what works for you, especially if you know you're down in the damn fight. Like, he obviously should have known he was down in the fight. I think Malachi's absolutely right. He was scared. He was scared going in there. He didn't want to take no chances. And then when he did, it was too late in the fight. And to be honest, he should have put Tio away. When he put the pressure on him, he should have kept that pressure until he put the kid away. And he still couldn't get it done.
I don't think he has the power at 135.
It's in the accuracy, though. The power is in the accuracy. And he hurt Tio. He had Tio on the ropes.
Yeah, he landed a couple.
He had Tio on the ropes, and he had him gassed out, and he let him back in the fight. And just what James and you guys are talking about with the footwork and all that, how the hell can you tell me that the footwork works in the ninth round for Lomo to where Tio can't even find you, like we're used to seeing in the fight for Lomo, but that don't work but you can't do that in the first rounds, the first few rounds. How can you use that footwork and everything that you're used to doing in the ninth round, but not in first, second, third, fourth?
Well, I think that's what they're saying, Rob. They said he's got to do that much earlier. He's got to take a chance. And I agree with you. I think early, particularly in the first half of the fight, as Lucas had said, their game plan was, they had said it several times. We're going to get him into deep water, which we all know means they're going to get him into the late rounds, and they were planning to drown him there. And I really believe early on in the fight, he was really concerned about the power of Teofimo and Teofimo's ability not just to throw power punches, but Teofimo's ability to time him. His timing had to be perfect because Teofimo's the type of puncher, one punch can put you out. So he had to be very careful with that. And I think he was just a little too careful. But the problem is, I think that this will actually, again, give Teofimo, who may have had questions that inside of himself coming into this fight, can I really outbox Vasyl Lomachenko? You know what I mean? Because everybody's saying he's the Matrix or whatever. But I think that this win now blows up his confidence, and his father already had all that confidence. It's going to blow it up even more. So I think they come into the rematch even more confident than they were in this fight. And I think that the only way Loma wins the fight is as the other two have said, is by taking more chances. But I think if he takes more chances, he's getting knocked out.
Malachi, I don't mind that game plan to take him into deep waters, but damn it, if you gonna do that, take him out. That's the problem I have is he couldn't get it done.
Look, I mean, I think the game plan was working, but one, they shouldn't have let the game plan out like that. I mean, I think everybody knew.
Luke, no, you giving him excuses. He couldn't do
excuse.
It.
I picked Loma. I scored it for Lopez. What are you talking about excuses? I'm admitting. You know, it was a close fight, and Rob, you're just acting like, you know, Loma should just hang him up and retire. It's crazy. You're insane.
No. Let me say this: he should not hang it up and retire, but he definitely should go to 130 where he can win fights. He ain't gonna win no more fights going up in weight. He ain't the one. He ain't gonna be able to do all of that. He's definitely masterful and skillful enough to win all the fights. He can even possibly be undisputed at 130. And y'all might crown his ass then and call him great because he's defending an undisputed title at 130. He'll never be great to me because I don't think he ever can move up in weight.
Oh, man. Let's go to the comments here. Contar Washington, he didn't hurt Lopez. Lopez hurt him by going to the body. That's why he won the first 6 rounds easy. Jab and body punches. I agree with most of that, but he definitely did hurt Lopez. In the 11th round, Lopez was visibly hurt. None of my cohorts disagree there.
No, he hurt Lopez. In my opinion, I don't know if Malachi saw that or not, but
I seen the one time where Lopez had it looked like he lost his balance a little bit after a punch, a hook, I believe it was, on the inside.
So I thought it was a straight left hand as Lopez was pulling out.
It might have been a straight left hand when he was pulling out, and it kind of like wobbled his legs a little bit.
Yeah.
It was up along the ropes.
He was in trouble, no question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think the rest of us are already saying, you know, a rematch is warranted, but a lot of other people are commenting on here. You know, it wouldn't matter. It's going to be the same fight. So, you know, let us know. Comment below. Do you want to see a rematch? But me, myself, I think it's worth it. If not, Fancherov, why not? Loma Haney, great fight. Tio Haney, great fight. You know, there's so many other good fights. I don't want to see anybody move up, and I think that's Rob. You want everybody to be action figures. So, are you wanting Tio Fimo to move up to 140, like he said?
Yes. Eventually.
But you don't want him to see the other 135s? I mean,
no, I think he should.
You don't want to see him fight Tank?
Now,
you don't want to see him fight anybody else?
Right, yes. Right now, I think he should.
He don't want to see him fight Tank. He might say he want to see him fight Tank, but he don't want to see him fight because he beat
Tank. Look, right now, I want to see him defend those titles first. I want to see him defend those titles and eventually move up to 140. Do what you say you're going to do. Move up to 140, 147, 154. Gradually, though. But right now, there's enough for him to defend those titles. And Malachi, Tank has him. But I think he gets stopped by Devin Haney.
Clarence says, rematch in New York. I need to meet Rob. Laughing face.
You think he gets stopped by Devin Haney? Is that what you said?
I think he gets beat. Yeah, beat. I think his momentum gets stopped. He gets beat by Devin Haney.
I don't see that. I think he beats Devin Haney just because, like, we seen him just beat the 2 legitimate Devin Haney, I'm sorry, is not a legitimate champion. He got his belt by email. The 2 legitimate champions in that division were Richard Comey and Vasyl Lomachenko, and he beat them both. He beat the 2 legitimate champions. The other guys, you know, for lack of a better word, an email champion.
Look,
but you're favoring the email champion.
I gotta agree with Malachi. Look, we see way too many belts won off vacant titles, you know, for beating somebody like you know, Yildirim. But we'll talk about that later. Little jab at you, Malachi. But, you know, little times do we see champ versus champ when they actually win a title. I mean, as far as Teofimo is concerned, I mean, he's the champ. He's the champ at 140. I mean, can't nobody really dispute that to me.
No, I'm not taking that away from the kid. But Devin Haney, this is his weight class. This is his true weight class. And he's not scared. He's not going to pull a Lomo. Look, Lomo was scared out there. You call it the wrong game plan, bad game plan, whatever the case may be. He started off scared, and then when he wanted to fight, he couldn't get the job done. Devin Haney's not going to pull that crap. Devin Haney's going to come in there with that great defense, looking like Mayweather, and he's going to put on a class show against the kid.
See, now you say scared. I say cautious. He fight cautiously early on. There's a big difference.
Is another word for scared.
No, cautious is not scared. Look, they fought the game plan that they needed to do to win. I mean, what are you going to do? Come out swinging heavy against Teofimo Lopez and then get knocked out and shorten your lifespan and shorten your boxing career? No, they did what they were supposed to do, Rob. Stop Stephen A-ing me right now. You're making me angry.
Because
look, you gotta look. They did exactly. Their team did what they needed to do. He just didn't step on the gas early enough. That's all that was.
No, I agree with you. He did what he needed to do. It didn't work. Whether you do it early or not.
So what do you want from the dude? I'm so confused by what you're saying.
What do you mean? What do I want from him? I wanted him to win, goddammit.
But this is still a pound-for-pound fighter, okay? He just took out a legitimate pound-for-pound 1, pound-for-pound 2, and you're still doubting him against Haney. You're not even you're saying he's just going to get blown out by Haney. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
So when you say that, that's your opinion, because I never put Tio in no damn pound-for-pound list.
No, I put Lomachenko in the pound-for-pound list.
How can you not, Rob? How can you not put Teofimo somewhere in that top 10 now?
Okay, let's have that discussion.
Loma's number 1.
Go ahead.
Or no, Loma was potentially number 1. So Tio, I got Tio at the top. Look, to be the man, you have to beat the man. Little do we see it ever happen. Tio beat the man. He's the man. I'm sorry. He's king of the hill right now. Teofimo is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Better than anything Bud can offer me resume-wise. Bud may be technically better. We are still yet to see that, but Tio has proof in the pudding, whereas Bud does not have it for me. Tio is my number 1 pound-for-pound.
Right now that you did that, I gotta scratch my head on that one. Okay, hold on. Let's draw that back. The discussion right now is Timo Lomo, right? Okay, I'm scratching my head because Lucas just put Tio at number 1 above Crawford, when all Tio just did was what Crawford did years ago.
Hold on. Okay, let's have that discussion, because who has Bud beat? Who has Bud beat to get those 4 titles? Teofimo just had to go through Lomachenko, the god, as Javi calls him. This is pound-for-pound great boxing that you just experienced, Rob. This was not Bud beating up people that got the belt from some vacant belt or something and held on to it for a while. This is actually people that earned the titles. This is pound-for-pound boxing. This is not, I can't even think of the names that Bud actually fought to get these belts.
So
how are you already saying that Bud's more of a pound-for-pound champion than Teofimo would be?
Because Tio did what Bud did years ago tonight. And Lomachenko ain't no fucking pound-for-pound fighter. He just proved that tonight.
Hang on, we going.
Pound-for-pound is when you go up and win, damn it.
Okay, hang on. Let's see.
He did 3 weight classes.
Contar Washington says, Tank can't beat Lopez, and Floyd won to make that fight happen. Devin hasn't fought nobody. Gary Russell Jr. would have been a good test for him. Clarence says at 32, hell no, not against a young lion. He's bugging. Rob, go to bed right now. Laughing face. Wake up, Rob. Chris said Bud beat Benavidez. He was no punk. That's true. He did beat Benavidez. Yeah. But Teofimo Lopez beat Loma, which already puts him above Benavidez. Anything that Crawford can offer, Teofimo actually achieved more, in my eyes already. Now, that's going to differ because it's all, what you like and all optimism anyway, so. You guys tell me.
Crawford.
Who's number one pound for pound now?
Canelo.
James.
No, I'm thinking Tio's stock just skyrocketed, and I think he's at the top.
All right. Look.
Hold on. We got another one.
He can't jump over Canelo.
Makewen,
Canelo,
you're
who's
wilding
Canelo?
if you don't think Crawford is pound for pound, but is willing to fight anybody. Politics from PBC and networks don't make the fights happen. I completely agree, but you still are left to prove it. Yes, politics are getting in his way severely. He's not getting the fights that he deserves. Could he beat Spence? Possibly, but to me, again, it's not what I think you can do. It's what you have proven thus far, and Bud has not proven it to me as much as Teofimo-Lopez just did. Let's see. Clarence says Loma is no pushover, but is fighting Kell Brook. That's worse than Amir Khan versus Canelo. I don't know if it's worse. Definitely not worse.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
Brooke,
it's been a
Kell
while.
Brook still only lost one fight at 147. He's only lost, and that was to the great Errol Spence. He dominated. He actually, you can make the argument that Kell Brook's victory over Sean Porter, which was more impressive than Errol Spence's win over Sean Porter. It was more one-sided toward
I strongly agree with that. Yeah.
So Kell Brook still only has one loss at 140. He hasn't looked spectacular at 154.
Right.
And he did lose it his one trip up the middleweight. But at 147, he would destroy Amir Khan. I don't think that Amir Khan would he would just crush him. He'd knock him out, man. So, no, I can't agree with that. I think Kell Brook's still one of the 6 or 7 best welterweights in the world. For me, I'm going to go back to the pound for pound thing. I never had Lomachenko or Bud Crawford ahead of Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez's resume and his ability still, for me, have him at number 1, but I am willing to move Teofimo up in my top 7 off of this win.
Top 10, yeah, okay. I might put him at 10. Let me ask y'all each this question then, since we want to be on topic of pound for pound. You take for James and Lucas, because y'all put Tio at number 1 now. You take Tio. Does he win at 147? Does he win at 154 right now? Can he win at those weight classes?
I mean, that's to be proven, but what does that matter currently for pound, though?
Because that's my pound for pound. You got to be able to move up and win, gosh damn it. You got to be able to move up and win. And that's what he was talking about doing tonight. No, that's exactly what his dad just said tonight.
You say that, and then you got a man who went up in 3 weight classes, the fastest in history to do it, and now you're on the show. Oh, he wasn't shit.
Because it's under 135, Malachi. You know what it is.
It's not.
It's what I don't understand you. Like he's saying, you want these guys to go up in weight, yet Lomachenko is the fastest to become the 3 world weight division champ, and you're just like, that's not enough. I want to see you go up to 154 and shit. I don't get it, man. You're holding a double standard to these guys.
No, he's got some criteria that says that you got to move up to be the pound for pound, but
because it's pound for pound to me.
We got to see him at 140 before we see him at 147, 54, etc.
So
got to see 40. Let's see how he does at 140. Then we'll have that conversation. But
so it sounds like there's questions.
He's got to move.
It sounds like there's questions. Then.
Look, he's
you
big.
You don't know what he can do. You have doubts. You don't know what he can do at those weight classes. Malachi, I'm gonna give you credit because Canelo moved up. Damn it, to all those weight classes.
Look, I'm saying Crawford's not going up to 154.
Canelo.
Does that mean he's not as a good fighter? Because Crawford's not going to go up to 154?
He's close. He's at 147.
You think he's going up? No, answer the question. Do you think he's going to compete at 154? Because I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's going to compete at 154, and he's going to win those titles.
How is Crawford's, what is he? He's a 3-division world champion. Lomachenko's a 3-division world champion. How does he get more credit in your mind for, he jumped up these 3 weight classes, so he's a legitimate pound-for-pound fighter. But Lomachenko, who did the same thing, somehow he's not a legitimate pound-for-pound fighter. That's it. You're contradicting yourself, man.
Not only that,
because
you mentioned Canelo, but he beat Rocky Fielding and he beat
Yeah.
Kovalev. Come on.
no, Kovalev was a damn pound for pound fighter at one time.
Kovalev said already, like,
No,
I
he
wasn't
was
even
a
expecting to
pound-for-pound
win or
fighter at one
compete.
time.
So
I'm not giving y'all that. I'm not giving y'all that.
Kovalev is the biggest
but he
excuse
was-
maker in business.
Kovalev
Go
was
ahead, Jay.
Kovalev was a crusher. Come on.
was.
Canelo didn't
I mean,
do much at 75. He didn't do
Beat
much.
Yard with a jab, man. He beat Yard with the jab, so he wasn't completely gone. That's like the same people who say he try to discredit Joey C for beating Bernard Hopkins and say, "Oh, Bernard was old." But if you go look, Bernard went on to win. What was it? Two or three world titles after that. So
Maybe he'd pick out Yard like that, but when he fought Canelo, he didn't have shit on his jab. He didn't have anything on his right.
Let's face it, the jab wasn't exactly like crazy powerful. It was also Yarde wore himself out. He was shot.
Kovalev's jab.
Yeah, y'all are still missing the argument with Canelo. He fucking beat Triple G twice.
No, he didn't.
Beat. He did not beat him.
He did not. He did not beat
The first one was a draw.
twice.
I'll give you that. He had a draw with him, but he beat him the second time. He beat Triple G the second time. Triple G was the one of the pound for pound kings at 168.
Look, Canelo fights Beterbiev. I'll give him all the credit in the world, but I don't know. I'm not throwing him in pound for pound right now.
You're not throwing Canelo in pound for pound.
Maybe
Even though he beat Jay Jacobs.
After at least
he
three.
Beat Triple G. You know what I mean? You got him where?
Like, yeah,
at least three or below.
You missing it. I don't know how you missing it for these damn lower weights. Why are you giving them so much credit because they win all these fucking fights at lower weight?
It's not their fault, Rob, that they were born smaller guys. It's not like, oh, well, he can't. So a guy who's 126, who's got all the skill in the world, right? To you, he's just worthless because God didn't bless him to be in a 6'4" body with 270 pounds, with half of the skills he has at 126. Right?
Malachi, it's not just me, it's the world. When have you seen a 126-pound fighter pound for pound?
Roman Gonzalez was smaller than that, and he was number one pound for pound.
And then his ass got taken out at the higher weight classes. So he tumbled all the way to the bottom.
Bro, that the majority of the world didn't start paying attention to him until HBO started. And this is why Roman, at the time, if you remember, Roman was like, I'm not fighting these killers because every time y'all tell me to go up in weight, immediately I got to go in there within 1 or 2 fights and fight the killer at the division. That Carlos Cuadras was the longest reigning champion, even though most people would, at the time, would have said Ionae was the legitimate champion of that weight class. Carlos Cuadras was the longer reigning champion. That dude was a killer. And they threw him up in there. Then he had to go fight Rat Boy. You know what I mean? Who came into the fight at like 135. That's what you want them to do in order for them to be great for you, is eventually go out there and get knocked out. Then instead of you admitting, well, you know, they came up all them weights, man, that was really something. No, they were bums. I told you they were bums. That is exactly what you see it, bro.
Yeah. Yes.
Malachi sound like me. This is what I've been dealing with, Malachi. Man,
I mean, I'll give y'all credit. You want to give them lower weights all the credit. Look, Innuendo, to me, the monster, he's top pound for pound fighter. He's held his own at that weight class and fought all the top guys in that division and cleaned them out. I don't have a problem with that. But tonight, Lomachenko stood on his ground and said, I'm going to be the undisputed 135 champ. And he didn't get it done. He's not a pound for pound great, obviously. And then for Tio to just win all those straps, okay, and y'all to sit there and say, now he's number one pound for pound. No, now he's got to prove himself. Okay, he has to prove himself.
I can't disagree with you there, but I think that Lomachenko fucked up tonight. That whole team fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob, I got to come and ask you this now. So let's say there is a rematch. Lomachenko comes out on top. Then what are you going to say?
Lopez was who I thought he was.
Come on, man. You can't do that. You can't. That's why you my Stephen A. That's why you're my Stephen A. I mean,
look, I'm
are you
telling
a
you right now.
politician, Rob? Are you trying to be a politician? You thinking about a run for office?
Yeah.
Because you sound a lot like every politician I've ever heard.
No, I'm trying to make a statement here. I'm telling you right now, the tops in those divisions right now, to me, Devin Haney and Tank. Any other names other than that? No.
Wait, Tank is still at 130. He's still at. Who is Tank beating? Who is Devin Haney beating that you're like so high on these guys? Now, I'm not low on. I'm not saying they're not good, but who have they beaten that you're so high on these guys? So much more so than a guy you've seen beat a Richard Coleman and just beat Vasily Lomachenko.
Who's beating them? I can ask you the same, sir. Who's beating them?
Nobody's beating Tank or Devin Haney, but that's not the point. You can't just crap like one guy hasn't even made it to the division yet. He still got to fight. He got to deal with the 130. You know what I mean? With versus Santa Cruz. He ain't even made it to 135, but you're already putting him over the guy that beat the only two legitimate champions in the division. That don't make no sense to me.
Clarence says,
technically,
Claire says ESPN talk tonight. Let's go, fellas. Rob, this is not the end of Loma. Promise he will be back. Rob, cut out the Trump behavior. Laughing face. Matt Queen says facts. And I mean, look, I got to give it to everybody that actually made this fight come in because, I mean, this fight come to fruition. Loma gave up some of his paycheck to Lopez. He really wanted this fight to happen. Top Rank was able to get with ESPN and make this on ESPN. This was a great night for boxing, guys. I mean, let's face it. I think everybody knows boxing's losing some ratings to the UFC. I think tonight is a great step in the right direction. In fact, I would hope to see a rematch the same way, maybe with even better undercard. Not saying that this undercard was lackluster by any means. I think every fight on there was pretty entertaining. So, great fight overall, guys. Wouldn't you agree that this is a great card overall?
No, Salcedo's fight was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lucas, the numbers are going to be big. They are going to be big, probably huge, for the simple fact that there really wasn't a competitive NCAA matchup tonight. Like the closest matchup was Florida State, North Carolina. And that 10 o'clock spot, really by then, the game, the biggest game on tonight was over by that 10 o'clock spot. So they really didn't have to compete with the NCAA or anybody tonight. And I think the World Series game, I didn't really see a lot of people tuning into that one either because it's not a matchup a lot of people like. I think those numbers are going to be huge tonight.
Well, Clarence has a question for us. He says, question, guys, where does Lopez go from here? Conter said, agree, great fight that should have been on pay-per-view. So we got a pay-per-view worthy card for free, guys. I mean, it was definitely great. Let's go back to Clarence's question though. Where does Lopez go from here? Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Go ahead, James.
I'm thinking maybe Arnold Barboza. He's the one who fought Alex Salcedo.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think that would be a nice fight. I think it looks like a good matchup. I don't know if you can make that matchup, you know, with all the promotional borders that we got, but who knows? I think Barboza Lopez would be a good match.
I definitely think it would be a great matchup. But I mean, if he has a smart team, I think Barboza is a big risk, little reward situation right now.
Yeah, that's a 140. So that's a rough.
So I don't know about that, you know. So that may be a little bit of a reach right now. If I'm in T.O.'s corner, I think the biggest money match again is going to be a Lomachenko. And I think Lomachenko will want the rematch because he's just that kind of a competitor. Now, the question is, will that come into fruition? Now, guys, I don't know. I didn't hear. Have you all heard if there was a rematch clause for this fight?
I don't think there was.
I think there was, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of rare with these big fights. You would think that you would get a rematch clause. But let's face it. What's the biggest money for Teofimo to make right now? Go right back and do it again.
It depends. It depends, though. If Josh Taylor was to dominate Jose Ramirez and take the unification fight, and you put that fight in the UK, Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor, that's a mega fight. That's gonna fill the O2. So I don't know. I think they're moving to 140. Everything that they've told me, and I can't. Hey, bro, everything that Junior Lopez said was gonna happen has happened. He hasn't missed yet, and he told me that their next fight, has explicitly said it, we're gonna beat Lomachenko in 16. In our 17th fight, we're going up to 140, and we're gonna unify the 140 division. Time I thought he made a mistake, because like, wait a minute, you got to beat one of the champions first. You know what I mean? Before you can unify with another one. But then I was like, wait, Josh Taylor's already unified at that point. Now he can completely, I believe, unify that division with Jose Ramirez. So I gotta believe Junior once again. I think they're going to 140 to try to take, those straps.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. But for me, I still think there's some doubt slightly with the Lomachenko, and I think they'll want to settle that before they go up to 140. I think Taylor will be there.
So, Josh Taylor just recently had a fight that he won. Nobody saw it. Josh Taylor's not a name. Sorry.
No, it's because he fought a guy. If he would have fought Jose Ramirez, everybody would watch.
Nah. It still would have been a low number. It still would have been a low number ESPN bout. I mean, I understand that, but it still would have been a low draw, low number ESPN bout. It really would have. Lomachenko Lopez 2 is pay-per-view. It's big-time pay-per-view. They're already calling it a mega fight on ESPN. Why? Because it lived up to the hype. You gotta draw that star attention. You gotta draw that star power. Moving up facing the Josh Taylor is not it right now. It's not gonna garner that. You want the pay-per-view, you need to take on Lomachenko because there is doubts.
Let's see. Chris says Shakur Stevenson got a big enough name to fight Tio plus the skill set.
Why does everybody keep saying Shakur Stevenson?
It's just my opinion. Clarence says he agrees, and Anthony also chimes in and agrees. I mean, it's not a fight that I would say I would not like to see. Of course, that's a good fight on paper, but I don't know. That's a rough fight for Stevens.
Especially considering isn't he a featherweight?
I mean, you hyping up Tank. They're both at 130. Shakur just moved into 130.
Shakur just moved there though, bro. He just moved there.
I think Shakur Stevenson would beat Tank.
Would beat Tank?
Yeah, I think he's a much better boxer.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, I don't think Shakur Stevens is ready yet. Just in my honest opinion, I don't think so. I think he will be. I just don't think he's there quite enough yet. But
Malachi,
yeah, I don't know.
am I pissing you off yet, Malachi? I think I'm making you mad.
Looking a lot like me.
I never get mad about boxing. Like it's what I tell people. Like, boxing is my heart, but OU football is my soul. Like, a boxer can lose and I don't care. Like, Manny Pacquiao is literally my favorite fighter of all time. I don't care what the haters think, I don't care what they say. You know what I mean? He's my favorite fighter of all time.
Lucas.
But it doesn't hurt. It don't hurt my soul when Manny Pacquiao loses. But when OU loses, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to answer no text. I don't want to talk to nobody. Leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Nah, but never mind. I lost train of thought.
I don't know. For me, there's still enough meat on the bones for the rematch. I don't really know if they're gonna go, too far separate ways just yet. Bob was smart. I mean, he definitely created a pay-per-view star in Lomachenko-Lopez tonight. If he chooses to go that direction, I think he can definitely get people to pay.
I think there was enough fireworks tonight to warrant a rematch, and I'm pretty sure it will happen. I just feel it.
So what do you guys think at the end? I really like that they respected each other at the end, but do you think that's real?
Yeah, I mean, attitudes change during a fight. Some people realize, and even afterwards, in the fight, if you listen closely, you'll hear some fighters say, and I'm not saying this happened tonight by any chance, because I didn't hear anything, but you hear, it was all to sell the fight, stuff like that. So yeah, people talk trash and stuff, maybe even get into the other one's skin, saying some things maybe they shouldn't, but they'll tell them at the end, it's all for show, and they embrace. I don't think there's really too much ill will there.
I hope there's plenty of ill will, lots of hatred, lots of bad blood, and let's get that rematch.
Yeah, let's get the rematch. And I pay if I'd have to, but I really hope that they do it again on ESPN. Now the question is, Rob, would you pay? Because I think the rest of us would. Rob, is that pay-per-view worthy? A rematch pay-per-view worthy?
Absolutely. This fight was pay-per-view worthy. The hyping into this fight, ESPN did a wonderful job with this fight, hyping it up with all and the fighters themselves. And I'm with James. I hope there's still bad blood, especially now. I hope there is, especially now. And James, you might get your wish then. If there's really bad blood, Lomo better bring it from round 1 next time.
Agreed. We finally agree on something.
All right, we got Chris asking, is Berlanga the real deal? We did touch a little bit on this. I guess we've kind of beat Lomachenko to death, so we can go back a little bit and talk about it. But let's see.
Do we have another Edwin Valero on our hands?
I did want to touch on one last thing before we move on to Berlanga. I did think the presentation overall for ESPN was spot on. They had like Fortnite-looking characters, which even drew my kids' eye to it. It was a very well presented piece. So definitely congrats there for ESPN. But Berlanga, like we talked about earlier, Malachi. Yeah, he stopped somebody that hasn't been stopped before, but still, who was it? So he's still got something to prove. He's still got to step up, but overall, I think a step in the right direction.
I kind of like what James brought up. James, elaborate if you could.
And that was about Edwin Valero.
Mm-hmm.
He's a killer. Heavy-fisted, violent, throws good short punches, cuts the ring. You all right? And he does everything he's got to do. And he's dangerous. And he's moving up in weight as well. So I can't wait to see this guy fight again. There's someone I really want to see fight. It's Berlanga. I'd love to see it at 15th or 16th or whatever it is. It'd be awesome to watch him again.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you brought up Valero because, he's on that list above Berlanga right now with the most KOs in like the shortest amount of time. I
like the team he's got around him. If you noticed after the fight, they were like, do those push-ups, you owe us. And this is a guy that just won a first-round knockout, but he did not do as he was instructed. Therefore, he had to do the push-ups. That's a discipline there, but, I mean, I guess it's not great discipline considering he didn't do what he was told. So I can only imagine how much better he can get when he actually starts listening. So what's the ceiling now? Because, Lucas, you said you want to see him, Malachi, you want to see him in tougher competition. What do you think the ceiling is? Now, too.
I don't know, Rob. He looks the part, but he's destroying boys in the first round. That's the problem. We don't know what happens when somebody can get him out of the first round and get him to round 5 or 6. Where now your boxing IQ has to come in. Can you make an adjustment? Can you pick up on this is what my opponents want to do, and this is how I counter it? right? Does he got that? Certainly he's got the power. He's got the ferocity. He's got the will to hurt you. But what happens when he gets into those rounds where now the other guy, he's not going away. And now adjustments have to be made. And your ring IQ really has to come to the forefront in this fight. That's when I'll be able to say where his ceiling is, because until then, I don't know. Because he's just getting him out of there in the first round.
It's a lot. You got to, we still are left to see some things. We got to see him get chin checked. Or could we have another Seth Mitchell? You don't know yet. There's unanswered questions. So I would say I'm very optimistic, but I'm also regarded. I'm a little weighted to crown him just yet. I want to see, this next step up. They have to actually bring the thunder with this next opponent. So hopefully soon. They're talking December. So hopefully soon we see what Berlanga's really made of.
Well, I find funny is Rob's wanting to crown Berlanga.
But not Lomachenko, who's a 3-weight division champion. Yeah.
Do you know why?
See, Malachi, I've been doing this for a while now. This is just Rob. I just deal with it.
Do you know why, Malachi? Just guess why. Because he's at 169 already. That's why I'm crowning the man.
You mean 167? You didn't even get the weight class right, Rob.
He was 169 tonight. He weighed in at 169 for this fight. I'll tell you, I'll answer the question in myself then. If these guys say they don't, I think if he steps up in the competition, he knocks them out too. I'm crowning him.
We will see. I think this conversation has gone long enough, though, so we can end it tonight. Rob, if you want to sign off.
Hey, everybody, I'm sorry if I pissed everybody off tonight. I was just passionate.
Malachi and James, thanks for coming on, guys. I know it's late. Appreciate it.
For the Heavy Bag Boxing, this is Robert Alexander. For Lucas Biggers, James, Malachi with Danger Zone Boxing. See y'all on Tuesday for Tough Talk.
9 p.m. Eastern.